guys, it's Lindsay. So today I'm going to be doing a very requested video. Highly requested. This is a video talking all about my 2016 favorite makeup products of the year. This is going to be strictly just what I've been loving, just for beauty products just in general. So let's get to it. I felt like for the year of 2016, a lot of makeup products went above and beyond and have definitely made their way into my everyday makeup routine. I definitely had a lot of new favorites that had come out that had been released recently in 2016. So the first favorite that I'm going to talk about in the order of how I apply my makeup is going to be a primer, and this is crazy expensive, and I'm just grabbing off of my table over here. This is a crazy expensive primer. I discovered it in the later part of 2016, but it became a very popular product here on YouTube, and I know you probably know what this is because I have already mentioned this here on my channel. It is the Guerlain. Girl, we're not even going to try to say that name, but it's the primer that's infused with gold flakes. This thing tightens your makeup. It tightens your face while keeping your pores diminished, and it just gives an overall just really firming effect to your makeup, as well as whenever you apply your makeup on top, it kind of gives it a sticky base, something to cling on to. I do notice that this does help with the longevity of my foundation, so I really enjoyed this foundation primer for whenever I'm definitely not having really good skin days. If it's really dull, tired skin, this is something that I place, and I know that my makeup is going to look amazing. And this is expensive. I try to keep it mainly to specific days that I would either be filming and I want really good looking makeup pictures, or anytime that there's an event that I think is super important, or a special date night. I would include using this primer in my foundation regimen. I do not use this every day, but I wish I could, but it is really expensive. The next primer that I'm going to use, because I've got to move fast, I have a ton of products over here, is the Makeup Forever Step 1 Equalizer Base Smoothing Primer. This primer is amazing simply because it fills in your pores, makes your makeup look very smooth, and it makes it look almost poreless and doll-like. It's one of my favorite staple primers. I've used it all year. I discovered it around my birthday last year, and I do like to switch this up between my Benefit Professional and this, but I've been using this more recently, and I would definitely say that the Makeup Forever Smoothing Primer is something to keep an eye out for in Sephora because it's great, amazing, wonderful, all the adjectives. Now I'm going to mention a foundation that is no stranger here on my channel. This is something that I definitely had mentioned about a year ago around this time, something that I discovered. This is the Clinique Beyond Perfecting 3-in-1 Foundation. This foundation is so good whenever it comes to longevity. It's really great for coverage. It doesn't leave me feeling really matte and super dry all day. It definitely has some luminous quality to it. I would say a satin dewy finish is what I mainly have throughout the whole day. It's full coverage. I really like that it has a doe foot applicator. That used to be something that I didn't like about it, but I really actually do like the doe foot applicator. I can just place it where I need to for either spot concealing, or I can go all over the face, and that seems to work out amazing. And it's got a beautiful finish, full coverage. It lasts so long. This is definitely a #1. Will repurchase over and over. Okay guys, another thing that I have already repurchased. This is my baby. I think this is my top foundation of the year. If you need full coverage, if you are really struggling with finding a really good foundation, something that would be lightweight, long lasting, and gives you full coverage, because those are mainly the qualities that I look for. If you're looking for the most max full coverage foundation that you can buy at Sephora, it would be the Marc Jacobs Remarkable Foundation. I've done plenty of videos. I've done videos applying this. I've done a first impressions of this about a little less than a year ago. This has been a staple in my makeup routine, especially on days where I know I need my makeup to hold up and not break down through the day. This is something I can always rely on. It's got a really nice finish. It doesn't feel heavy on the skin, and it definitely is lightweight. Gives me full coverage. I mean, this is the most coverage I think I've ever had in a foundation. And the beautiful thing about it is that you can still continually build it up if you have really bad acne spots. This has been such a lifesaver for me whenever I was having really bad skin a couple of months ago, and it was just not doing the best, and I never break out from this formula. Something about it, if my skin is really bad, I'll always go back to this and I stop breaking out. So this is one of my holy grail foundations. I think I mentioned it in my holy grail video, which I'll link somewhere here in the video, but this is an amazing product. I'll leave my review somewhere here in the video if you want to see it, my first impression application. So yeah, oh my god, we got a lot to talk about. And another favorite, because I switched between 2 different shades, is the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea foundation. I believe I've mentioned this once before here on my channel. This came into my life a little later in 2016, but this is, it's light medium coverage. It has such a wonderful finish onto the skin. It almost makes it look like your pores are reduced. It makes your skin look healthy. It makes it look hydrated. It makes it look, you know, not dry. I don't notice any patches on my face. Nothing is accentuated. If I just want my skin to look like a natural, good skin day, natural meaning like I don't have anything on my skin, like a natural no makeup day, and I want my skin to look really good, really flawless without it being very noticeable and undetectable on the skin, I find that this is excellent whenever it comes to detectability. You don't have to worry about it looking really cakey throughout the day, and it also has a luminous finish for you girls who really want a dewy finish. And I also find this is very similar to the Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. If any of you guys have ever tried that foundation before, I find this is a very similar formula. Just the finish in general looks very, very similar, and this is $40 compared to a $60 foundation. I'm trying not to say awesome, but I want to say awesome. And for whenever I'm not self-tanning and I want a really nice like CC or BB cream, something very moisturizing and has a little bit of skincare in it, I'll go to the It Cosmetics CC Cream Illumination Cream. This is so pretty on the skin. It gives you such a pretty glow, and it also smells like lemons. It has a medium, I'd say light to medium, more on the medium side type of coverage. I can use this at any time and I'm not worrying about any major breakdown. It doesn't last as long as other foundations that I've noticed. So I can't wear this whenever I'm going to work because I do notice breakdown around my nose and my chin. But for those days where I need to just go run an errand and I want to put a little something on and I'm not wearing any self-tanner, this is the foundation that I go to, and I'm almost gone. This is a sad day. So those were all my favorite foundations. That is such a big deal because I own so many foundations, but those were the top of the top, the best in my opinion for me this past year. My most used, most repurchased foundations. Now talking about concealers, you already know what it is because everybody else here on YouTube has been talking about it. This is the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. You can tell I have repurchased this over and over. This is my almost empty bottle. I'm really scared to part ways with it because I don't want to waste any product because this stuff is expensive. And then I also have my refill colors. This is light medium and this is light sand. I like to use them either mixed or whenever I'm a little bit paler using light sand. Whenever I'm a little bit darker I can mix the two or just use light medium. I really enjoy these colors. These are both more on the more warm yellow side, which is why I picked them, and they look really, really great. I almost like to use this as spot concealing just for going to the gym because whenever I go to the gym and I'm having a bad skin day, I don't feel like showing off all my breakouts. So I will do a little spot concealing with this, and because it blends so pretty into the skin and almost down to a matte finish, I notice that it just looks absolutely flawless and seamless whenever I'm using this. This is a 100% you need this in your life. Now on to powder. I'm not very picky whenever it comes to my powders. I have pretty much found one that I've stuck with for almost 4 years now. You probably know what it already is. It's the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in Medium Plus. I also have used the light shade for whenever I'm a little bit lighter, and also using this for under my eyes. This is an amazing powder. It's got such a natural finish, and it almost leaves any type of foundation that I'm wearing. It leaves it with its natural dewiness. It doesn't matte it down completely, and it also helps with the longevity of my foundations. My favorite thing about this powder is it doesn't look like anything is sitting on top of my skin. I've talked about this powder over and over and over. It looks so natural. If you're looking for a really nice powder that doesn't look super cakey on your skin, it doesn't add too much coverage, but you want it to kind of control some of the oils and set your makeup without it taking away some of the natural dewiness of your foundation, MAC Studio Skin Finish in Mineral Plus. This is my baby. Get it. Now for my favorite under eye setting powder, this is a no-brainer for me. This is one that snuck in at the very end of the year, and it ended up being like something that blew my mind. This is the Kat Von D Shade and Light Contour Kit. This is the kit that has the embossment and you can pull the actual contour shades out of here. I've had this since November, and you can already see me hitting pan on both of those lighter shades. I like the contour shades, but I find them a little hard to blend. But as far as the highlighting shades for under eyes, I can see me repurchasing these over and over and over, and I think this palette was the better palette to buy out of all the other contour kits, mainly because the powders themselves you can repurchase over and over once you've hit pan or you use them all up. You don't have to go out and buy a whole nother palette. So this to me is a win-win. It has amazing powders. The contour powders can be used. I just prefer other powders compared to these because they can be a little hard to blend, and whenever you place them on your face they can get stuck. So stuck as in you can't really blend those out as easily as you can other contour powders, but the highlighting powders in here are fantastic. I 100% recommend this if you're a beginner to makeup. It just takes a light hand. Now, two bronzers I wanted to mention was the classic Too Faced Chocolate Soleil. This is my #1 bronzer of all time. I just don't think anything will ever compare to this in my brain whenever it comes to just general bronzing or using that as a really great contour color for like light medium skin tone. It's one of my favorites. And then the next is MAC Give Me Sun. This is more on the warmer side whenever it comes to bronzers. I like to use this more in the summertime whenever I'm using a lot more self tan and I want my face to match my body. I'll use the MAC Give Me Sun. This bronzer is so seamless. I never notice any like powder sitting on top of my skin whenever I'm using this powder. It's so finely milled, it's so creamy, and I just really love the color whenever I'm trying to just bronze up my face. MAC Give Me Sun, I can see me repurchasing over and over and over. Now, as far as like face palettes, I will say Becca and Estee Lauder, these face palettes were probably not my #1 used. I love this Jaclyn Hill palette so much. I'm using Prosecco Pop today as my highlight. This is probably one of my favorites. This is probably one of the most used blushes in my collection. I've used this blush so many times. I wish they would come out with this as a single. I like using this as a blush topper. I don't really use this shade as much because it does feel so bright, even though you can use it with a lighter hand. And of course, Champagne Pop is beautiful. I wish I had bought 2 of these face palettes because I just feel like I'm going to hit pan soon. I'm already hitting pan on Champagne Pop in here, so this palette to me was flawless. It was so great. The blendability, the powders themselves, just everything. This is everything. The second face palette that I wanted to mention was the Estee Lauder Bronze Goddess Multi-Palette. This little thing surprised me. It's kind of got like a gelée or jelly formula where it's kind of a little bit more of a harder powder, but I really like that because it doesn't let you pick up too much product. These shades right here, this highlight is gorgeous. Like, it's so pretty and reflective. This is my go-to when I need fast makeup and I already have everything that I need. It's great for travel. This blush shade is right up the alley of most of the blushes that I wear anyway, so this whole palette, everything about it was just perfect for me because it's a great travel on-the-go palette, has everything I needed, and I would recommend this for people with more light to medium skin tone. I don't know if this is available anymore, but yeah, I would just say this is my favorite. This is probably my one of my most used face palettes. Now, whenever it comes to face products like blush and highlight, I think Becca carries it all the way. This is one of my top used highlighters this year. This is Becca Pearl, and if you're a very pale girl and you're trying to find something to highlight your face with but everything else looks really peachy or pink or gold, I would recommend you using Pearl. I broke mine the other day and I almost cried. Even though it is white, once you put it on the top of your cheekbones, it blends into the skin beautifully. But I would say my medium to darker girls, I would definitely stay away from Pearl because it will be too white, too ashy on your skin. It's the perfect pale girl highlight. Another highlight I wanted to mention was the Sleek Makeup Highlighter. How can I not mention this? These two colors right here mixed together is my all-time favorite highlight I think I've ever had. This is something that I use constantly. It gives that beaming highlight, and the thing is you can spray your brush with a little bit more of MAC Fix Plus. It just amplifies your highlight even more. It's just blinding. It's definitely not a subtle highlight if you're looking for a subtle highlight. This is not it. But this is the palette in Solstice, and I know they make a couple of other palettes, but I would recommend Solstice out of any of the other ones because this formula, just something about it is so much more different. It's so more creamy, and the shades themselves are just way more bright and reflective. So I would definitely recommend this, and even using these as eyeshadows, as like inner corner highlights. Girl. Two blushes from Becca that I wanted to mention is Wild Honey and Flower Child. These are my all-time favorite top blushes. I use Flower Child for my wedding. This is just the best blush formula out there. I wish they would come out with like a million more colors because I just don't feel like their blush range is big enough yet. I wish it was just as big as MAC's blush range, but I'm sure they'll get there. Most of Becca's blushes are just, the formula themselves aren't too dusty or powdery. They're easy to blend, and you just can't pick up too much without them being just like so easy to work with. And the last blush I'm going to mention is MAC Warm Soul. This little blush has just taken me and blown my mind. It was just so underestimated in my makeup drawer. I pulled it out one day for a quick work look, and I just love wearing this to work. It looks so appropriate. It's not too much. I never have to worry about me looking too made up or just too pink, too bright. It's just the most gorgeous neutral peachy pink color, and it's just, I think it will suit so many different skin tones. It's kind of like an apricot color. It's just a very subtle color. It doesn't look like much in the pan, but it's one of those blushes, trust me, that once you put it on, it looks just so good. Okay, now we're going on to eye palettes. The first one I'm going to mention, which is probably my most favorite, most used out of all these eyeshadows, is this Viseart 01 Neutral Matte Palette. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Viseart before. This is a very expensive palette, but I think that shadows, once you break it down, like per cost is like $6 to $6.99, so the same thing as Makeup Geek. These shadows blend like a dream. If you're having such a hard time with patchiness, or you don't understand why your eyeshadows are starting to look like they skip or they just aren't blending, if you're looking for a really good mattes palette, I would say start with the Viseart. Don't waste your money on all the other palettes. Just go ahead and start out with this. It has every color you could possibly need. It's great for travel. This is a staple palette. You need it. You need it. You need it. I'm not going to go on talking about this palette forever because you guys know exactly how I feel about it. This is the Tarte in Bloom. I've already mentioned this in my Holy Grails. This is just a #1 top favorite palette of life. If I could just like use one palette for the rest of my life, just every single day, it would be this, because it has the shimmers, it has all the colors, it has the light highlight shades, it has the darker crease shades, it has the matte black that I truly love. This palette just is everything. I'm not going to go on talking about it. You guys have heard me talk about it a couple of times here on my channel, but if I could recommend just any palette out of anything, this whole video, I would recommend the Tarte in Bloom. It's just no questions. And also, I just wanted to quickly mention the Tarte Pro palette that has recently come out. I've been using this for the past couple of weeks. This is fantastic. I don't know why there's a lot of hate on this palette. I don't know if there's bad batches that's going out there, but I find this is super pigmented. This feels like a very similar formula to the Tarte in Bloom. I would just say that I wish that the highlight or the shimmery shades were a little bit more reflective, because I don't feel like that formula is the same, but the mattes all feel the same to me. And I wish that their shades were a little bit more varied as far as like the highlight shades. I feel like there's a lot of golds and light golds. I feel like a really light highlight shade would really have suited this palette so much better than like this gold right here or this burgundy rose gold color. It's just not, that's just not my favorite in the palette. As far as the mattes go, you have like 20 shades in here that's mattes. It's just a great value for your money. It's a great value for your money, guys. Sound like an infomercial. All this talking. Another eyeshadow palette I think everybody should have in their arsenal is the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Palette. I already showed you the face palette. I'm showing you the eye palette. This is a beautiful arrangement of mattes. I just love matte shades, and I just think this is a great arrangement if you're looking for more on the neutral side. I don't feel like there's a lot of color going on here, but you do have a lot of really great basics in this palette. I would say some of Kat Von D's matte eyeshadow colors are some of the best formulated mattes in the industry. along with Viseart. You just can't beat these matte shades to me. And I think the color arrangement is very interesting in this palette. It's a lot different from what you would find in like Viseart or the Urban Decay Basics. I really like the arrangement. I like the packaging. This is just a win-win for me. And I know this wasn't released in 2016, but I discovered it early in 2016. So that's why I'm mentioning it in this video. Now, two palettes that I've truly dedicated so much time and mornings to just getting ready is and they're both by the same brand, is the Anastasia palettes. This is the Modern Renaissance. Mine is getting so dirty. And then the Master palette by Mario. These are just so good. I'm giving you like the best of the best eyeshadows that's come out this year. If you guys want tutorials on either one of these eyeshadow palettes, please let me know. I would love to do them. I don't think the Master palette is still available anymore for purchase. If you can get your hands on this, you have to pick this up. Some of these shades are holy grail shades for me. Isabel and Violetta. Oh, all these shimmery shades, they are just so beautiful, like lid topper shades, and they all blend so beautifully into each other. And it's really great whenever you have a shimmery shade that is super impactful. Please, 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 for me, pick it up because it's amazing. And I know I've said amazing a million times, but truly these Anastasia palettes, there's, I don't think, really much that can compare to them. I know the Naked palettes are really popular. I would skip a Naked palette and go straight to one of these because these shades are just so much more. They're just so much more. There's so much more color, variety, blendability, pigment. It's just, these are some of the best of the business, and I just can't wait for more Anastasia shades to come out. And I almost skipped out on this palette this past year. I almost did. I almost said, no, I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it. What was I thinking? If you're looking for an alternative to the Modern Renaissance palette, I do have the Violet Voss Pro, the Holy Grail palette. This palette, y'all, is so nice, but I wouldn't say that the blendability and the pigmentation is on the exact same level, but it's a really good palette. It is still blendable. It is actually what I'm wearing on my eyes today. I've used some of the oranges and the berries in my eyes, and then I used a lighter shade on the lid to create sort of like a halo eye. So that's what I used today, and this palette just blends so well too. It's just not as creamy as the Anastasia palettes. I would say that the shimmers are truly really beautiful in these palettes, but some of the darker shades can get a little patchy. You can work around them. I would still say this palette is really, really good. It's just not on the level of the Modern Renaissance, but it's still really good. And I don't even have to talk about this one because so many people have talked about this on YouTube. This is the Morphe 350 palette. I don't think I've ever shown this on my channel. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to do a look with these. Morphe palettes in general, I don't have too many Morphe palettes. I have a few, and this one I think would be my all-time favorite just because of the warm shades. I love my warm shades just as much as the next beauty girl here on YouTube. I love oranges and warm browns and just a really nice like highlighty pink color. I love most of these shades. These more greeny browny shades right here, these are like my all-time favorite shades. I wish, and it's an odd color, but I wish more companies would come out with it. Yeah, this is a well-rounded palette for me, and you can go all over the internet. There's discount codes for Morphe, and this palette is already like, I think like $32, $33. I think it's a really great buy if you're looking for an affordable eyeshadow. I know all the other ones I've mentioned were pretty high-end, but if you're looking for a more affordable palette, the Morphe palettes are the way to go if you're trying to get started in makeup, and I would recommend the 350 before anything else. Because it's got so much variety. Now I'm just going to quickly mention some eyeliners. I really love the Maybelline Eye Studio. This is a black gel liner. This is one of my favorites. I've mentioned this so many times here on my channel. I've used it so many times on camera. Another one is the L'Oreal Carbon Black Extra Intense. This is a double-sided eyeliner with a smudger on the end. And then the kohl liner that you do have to sharpen. I really like this formula because you can smudge out this black liner and manipulate it. And that's one of my favorite things about this. And then surprisingly all these are drugstore. The NYC liquid eyeliner, this dries down matte and it has a really nice thin tip. It just marks so black. It's one of the best formulas I've ever seen. It stays on so long, and I never have to worry about this skipping or patching because it's so pigmented, and it's super cheap. It's like $3 and it dries down matte, which is the biggest thing about this eyeliner. That is one of my favorite things, is the fact that it does dry down matte and it's not shiny. Now my favorite mascara is the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. There's nothing that beats this in my mind, and I have the waterproof version. I've mentioned this again so many times here on my channel. It just fluffs out my natural lashes. It adds so much thickness and volume to them, and I can just put layer and layer, and it never clumps up on me, and it always looks really, I get so many compliments on my eyelashes whenever I'm not wearing false lashes. I normally never wear false lashes unless I'm doing like a video or it's like a very special event. I normally always go with just like my natural lashes. So with my natural lashes, I love using this Better Than Sex mascara. Just nothing beats this in my mind, because the waterproof formula holds my curl. It leaves it lasting all day long. I never get any flaking, which is the biggest issue that I find with some other non-waterproof mascaras, is that they leave flaking and smudging, and it like mixes in with the water with your eyes and it just starts to drip down your face and cause a lot of smudging. I never had those issues with this mascara. I tell all my friends and any of my family members, if they're looking for a mascara, you've got to try the Better Than Sex. I've got my mom hooked on the regular version. I love the waterproof bin because it holds a curl for me, but this is, nothing beats it. Nothing beats it. Two brow products that I wanted to mention. This is the Benefit Goof Proof Brow Pencil, and then I have the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel. This brow pencil right here is just so exactly what it says. It's goof proof. I don't like using brow pomades for an everyday brow because they feel too thick and just too harsh for my face. I like a softer brow, more of a natural brow, and so I like using the goof proof. I'm using the color number 1, and then I love using this spoolie. This is one of the best spoolies I've ever used to help comb through. And this Anastasia Clear Brow Gel is hairspray for your eyebrows. That's all I'm gonna say. It keeps them in place. They don't move. It's practically waterproof. Go get you some, girl. I have 5 lip products to show you, and then I'm done, girl. This is MAC Soar lip liner. This is my top lip liner that I've used the whole entire year. I like to use Soar around my whole entire lips, fill them in, rub it in with my finger. I'll use that as a long-lasting lip color if I'm going to be working for a long amount of hours and I want a lip color to stay. I also like using my nude lip colors or lip glosses or lipsticks right over it. It just adds the perfect amount of color to my lips. I love just combining this with all my other lip products. This is my top lip liner ever. If you're ever looking just for a staple lip liner just to start off your collection with, I would say MAC Soar lip liner is the one to get. Now we all know I love me some MAC Creme de Nude. I think that's my all-time holy grail favorite lipstick ever. But this Rimmel London lipstick has changed the game for me. It's by the Kate line and it's number 40. This is such a beautiful nude. It's just one of my all-time favorite nudes now. I like to use this on the top of my lips, like a little bit into the middle of my lips. I'll massage it into the MAC Soar lip liner, and this is one of my favorite lip combos. I think I've done it today, if I can remember. The next 2 lip products, one is from ColourPop. This is the ColourPop liquid lipstick in Vice, and this is the shade Right Here. And this is just a matte liquid lipstick. It's really too matte for me, so I do like to top it off with a lip gloss. And then one of my other favorite lip glosses of the year, one of the best finds I've had, is the Tarte Tartiste color in Hella. I've mentioned this a couple of times in some favorite videos, but that is Hella right there on my back of my hand. And again, it's a nude. These are what I wear on a day-to-day basis. I like to use this by itself, and I like to put it in the middle of my lips and just tap it out with my finger. I feel like that's how I get the most natural look whenever it comes to my lip color. And yeah, these are just some staples, and I use these all the time without ever really thinking about them. And so yeah, I just felt like they needed to be included in a year-end favorites video. Whew, girl, that is everything. So that is it for me, guys. That is my 2016 favorites products of the year. I feel like 2016 was a really good year for makeup products, and a lot of things had launched. A lot of new staples had come out in 2016. I'm super excited for 2017. I feel like this year is going to be my year. Got lots of goals, got lots of things I'm planning on doing with this channel. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll leave all the links that you need in the down bar below. Also, if you request any tutorials with any of the eyeshadow palettes that I showed you, please leave those in the down bar below. I'm going to be filming a Morphe review very soon, so stay tuned for that. Make sure that you're subscribing and click that little bell down there, because YouTube is unsubscribing people. And yeah, that would really help out my channel. I love you guys so much. Thank you for everything that you guys have done for me in the past year, and I hope this year is even better. So I'll talk to you guys later, and bye.